What is up, beautiful traders? We are back, or at least I am back, kind of. I'm gonna be real with you guys. The weather has decided to wage a war on my immune system, and it has been winning. I've been laying in bed for 3 days. 3 days. I've had more conversations with, my ceiling fan than with actual human beings. But I know you guys needed your weekly dose of market brilliance, even if I sound like a frog that is gargling marbles. So you won't be getting a face reveal today because just imagine a potato, right? A very sad potato. That's me right now. But listen close because the market doesn't care if you're battling with sniffles or you've been adopted by aliens. It will just keep moving, and so shall we, right? So you guys just think of this as a special sick edition of our analysis. So we are going to find profits even if I have to sneeze my way through the charts, right? You have to be dedicated. Remember, consistency is the key. So just grab your favorite blanket and brew some herbal tea, and let's make some money. Because even a zombie with a head coat can still spot a golden opportunity in the market, right? But enough of the melodrama. Let's get straight to the charts before we start hallucinating candlesticks here. And before we actually do that, let's have a talk about this US30 move that we had on Friday. As you can see, we managed to cap 500 pips in the inner circle. And US30, this US30 trade was something else. All week the market had just been dragging sideways. This is like the whole week, this movement here. Just look at the type of candlesticks. So the market has just been dragging sideways for the whole week. And, we were having profits here and there, but they weren't as nice as the final US30 trade that we then had. Um, I was even starting to feel like I was just watching paint dry, just the trading edition on the whole week, even on Nasdaq and on gold. But then just before the market closed on Friday, 500 pips, just like that. We've been watching that point of interest even in the free group. I did share this with all of you guys. We've been watching this point of interest for quite some time, right? You can clearly see this. And we were just patient for the market to eventually then come into this level. And this is how we ended up catching this trade, right? We just been watching that point since last week's analysis, and it finally played out perfectly. This was quite a satisfying win, especially after frustrating sideways moves on the market. It was a reminder that even when you're feeling a little under the weather, right, and the market has been a pain, these big moves can still happen. And honestly, this was a great way to end the week. So, with that little victory lap out of our way, let's get back to what we are seeing on the charts right now. But before we dive into the specifics, right, if you are new to the channel, welcome. We trade the Nasdaq over here. If you're returning, welcome back. You already know what's up. Don't forget to hit that like button to your post notifications and subscribe to the channel. So let's not forget that this is NFP week. That's right, the first Friday of the month, non-farm payrolls. We are super excited for NFP. And let me tell you, it's going to be a seriously volatile week because we have news almost every single day except on Tuesday. So that's a friendly reminder, guys. Protect your capital. You don't want to risk, your whole capital on a spike for NFP. You have to be wise with your money. So, with the fundamentals playing such a big role this week, you do have to be extra cautious. And remember that risk management is your best friend during these times. I honestly hope that the market doesn't open with such a ridiculous gap because of what has been happening over the weekend with the news and stuff. I guess you guys have been watching the news. We don't want to see a gap in these markets, because that just puts us back. We'll not have to do another analysis if the market just opens with a ridiculous gap. Right. And the fundamentals are out of the way. Let's go to my favorite chart. That is the Nasdaq. Nasdaq. Last week, Nasdaq was, well, let's just say, was a bit stubborn, right? It wasn't exactly playing ball, but let's take a look at what the charts are telling us right now. As you can see, I was expecting Nasdaq to respect this trend line, which it completely disrespected, and just broke out, and right now it's like the sellers are currently in control. I saw this movement here, this little movement. I was like, oh, I think the buyers are about to step in at the touch of a trend line, but I guess this level was too obvious for a lot of traders because this breakout was something like, taking out stop losses that were right here after accumulating people at this level. So that means we have to reanalyze, but I'm just going to remove the trend lines that are no longer valid, right? Starting with that one and this line right over here. So this main trend line that I have at the bottom is what I had drawn on the weekly time frame, as you can see. And I think that's where the market is kind of heading right now, right? Even though it did come to that level a bit and then it wanted to go up. So this level right here where it is on the weekly time frame is a previous high. So where the market currently is a support, right? You can clearly see that this is a support area. um Let me just zoom this in. This is a clear support area on Nasdaq. Why? Because this was an all-time high. We had the market breaking off an all-time high, automatically turning the resistance into a support. And you can see that the market has been coming to try and react off of the support. Now, I always say this, right? We can react at the support, or we can find a point of interest to react off of. So now that we have another trend line at the bottom right here, that could leave us with, question marks right now. Will the market react at this level? When I'm trading, I would actually definitely look for buying positions in this area. That's like now on a smaller time frame to go in and out on a daily basis, right? But those that are holding really have to wait for confirmation. Now, if you're waiting for confirmation, it means that you have to see it on the weekly time frame, which is not ideal, right? So we just mark that up for guidance. We can clearly see that, yes, if the buyers reject here, fail to break out of this, it might still mean that the support is holding and eventually just push right back up to the top on the Nasdaq. But what we can see currently is that the sellers have broken out of that trend line, and we want to be very careful here, right? So we can see that institutions were also playing in these areas, right? We can see that we have the institutions that move the market here, especially here, right? Even here we had this little indecision, like these weak candles. I like to, if I see something like this at a certain zone, I really think that it's a really strong zone, because look at how the market comes to this area and just pushes the market right back. Like, just pushes it. It dropped with so much pressure, it just pushed it right back up. But then look at how it disrespected it again at this moment here. So kind of feels like it has been broken out of, invalidated, and now what we want to see is for the markets to come into this point of interest. This is not what I'm looking at right now. I just can't buy in these areas here. So for me to then end up looking for buying positions on Nasdaq, if the market comes into this area, which is after this movement where the institutions moved here, and then the market comes into that area, then I would probably think that it also kind of be respecting this trend line also, right? And then now if it doesn't, it just starts moving from where it is if it now breaks out of this area here, because you can clearly see that this is a resistance that it has been forming. If you go on lower time frames, that would be a resistance, right? So let me just switch off this indicator. So if you go on lower time frames, oh, but there's something that I just noticed that's also really interesting here. Look at this. So we had the market dropping, and it just closed with such a bullish engulfing candle, showing you that the buyers have actually stepped into this market. But then I am not satisfied, because after the sellers have dropped it so much, the buyers are trying to step in, but we don't know if they can hold. If they can push up and break out of this resistance, then yes, the buyers have taken over. Then we can probably start looking for more buying positions. So it's either the breakout of this level or they come into this point of interest that I will start looking for entering buying positions on the Nasdaq for this week. But then it's something that's possible, right? Because we're gonna have a lot of volatility in the market if we don't even wake up and the market has opened somewhere here already, or it has opened somewhere there because of the news. But yeah, this does not look any complicated. It's just as straightforward as it sounds. Now let's do gold, right? Let's do gold. Gold. Now, yes, gold is already marked up. And I like the fact that we did have new highs on gold. This was on Tuesday, right? Yes, gold gave us new highs on Tuesday. Yeah, and you can see that it actually is trying to retrace, right? It's giving us a little retracement, and I already had this point of interest marked up before on gold, right? And obviously this level that we had, but then right now you can see the market has retested. It's either this gold just has to respect this level and push up to the top, but then since it's already like a new week, we might as well just not even consider that and mark it up from the old highs that it had broken out of and has not yet retested, right? So we want to see it coming to retest these old highs and making our point of interest right at the all-time highs here, or the previous all-time highs, or inside of this area here. Other than that, it doesn't look complicated. Or I don't know who remembers my Fibonacci retracement levels that I had the last time. I don't even know where I used them, but then I think I was, yeah, you can see clearly this is the level I was expecting gold to buy from. So the 61 and the 50 levels in these areas here. And this is a lot of patience, because this has been how many weeks now? I think this has been 2 weeks for us looking at this point of interest, and gold has not yet come to that level for us to continue with the buying movement that we have. So if it does get into this level, then obviously we will storm into the market. But this is the analysis on gold. I don't really have to draw any trend line here because of this movement that it had. It's quite simple. Then finally, the US30 trade, which was absolutely lovely. I really don't even want to disturb the chart because it looks so nice. So what we are seeing here is that the market, all right, let me just remove it, right? Now what we're seeing is that the buyers, right, did step in from a great point of interest and push the market to the top. So this was such a perfect trade. We have to now keep in mind is that at a resistance zone, there are two things that can happen, right? We either want to break out of the resistance and keep riding to the top, or we can get rejected from the resistance and drop back down. Right, so US30 currently, if you're not in the trade already, you have to wait for it to break out. If it just breaks out of this area, I've been anticipating USD to break out of that area. It's just been so stubborn, right? If it does break out of this area, if you remember in the free group, let me just show you guys this. I wanted USD to break out of that area for quite some time. It's just been stubborn. You see this area here, right? Let me even show you another part. Yeah, you see, this time I actually thought that it's about to break out. This was on the 1 hour time frame. I think this would have been somewhere here, and then instead of breaking out, it just faked out and dropped, and then came back, faked out again and dropped. And then right now you see, so this area is kind of weak now, so we expect the market to actually then just break out of this area. If it does break out, then the buys are definite on US30. We would want to storm in, to the buys and ride it up to the top, because there's nothing really that will hold the market anymore if it breaks out of here to keep going up to the top there. But if it does not, we're gonna just simply use the trend line that we already had that was guiding us here, as a point of interest. And then obviously our usual support areas are always going to be important, right? So this will be the first support area that we already have here, and then this will be our next support area that we also already have. at this part. So that's basically it. What we'll be looking at on US30, Nasdaq, and gold for this current week. Now, if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to hit that like button, turn your post notifications, and subscribe to the channel. You feel me with that? It's been Tino, and I'll see you in the next lit video. Peace.